maybe anything, pharmacology, regulatory affairs, IHS guidelines, everything. Whatever you are reading, you cannot implement anything unless and until it is regulatory affairs compliant. You know, ICH, in WHO, all these things. In India, it is CDSC or DCJ. So we have a set of principles here, set of rules and regulations, acts. Everything should be compliant so that we can implement what we have read, what we have formulated, what we have manufactured. So in the global pharmaceutical perspective, pharmacovigilance is one important core field in which more people can be employed, which is the basic to the human safety in relation to the drugs or in relation to the vaccines and in relation to the the brief about, next slide please. So here I'll present what is pharmacovigilance. 1 second please. Yeah. So what is pharmacovigilance? And World Health Organization means WHO and PV. Aims of pharmacovigilance, what do we mean really? The adverse drug reaction, what is adverse drug event, what is the basic difference between them, and when the adverse event is discussing the causality assessment classification, how the any adverse drug reaction is whether it is related to the drug or not, we can see the cause and effect relationship. On that basis, how the adverse drug reactions is classified, and why we do causality assessment. Next, we'll discuss what is the safety signal, then management of safety signals. Under that, we'll see signal detection or identification, signal investigation and assessments, and finally, we'll discuss the main areas of pharmacovigilance. So, what is pharmacovigilance? The simple thing you can see, it is a science and art of detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects or any other medicine related problems. As you know, adverse effect means whatever effect we are expecting from a drug when used in human beings. If that is not like that, or in addition to that, if we are getting any other harmful effects, they can be called adverse effects. So the detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention of adverse effects is called pharmacovigilance. So this is the simple definition. The definition does not show really what pharmacovigilance is. Really, the pharmacovigilance is a very vast field. I'll tell you in the last slide of my things what is the scope of pharmacovigilance. And this pharmacovigilance is completely a scientific and process-driven area within this pharma industry. This includes collection and evaluation of spontaneous case reports of suspected adverse events, and also it includes pharmacoepidemiology studies as per ICH 2004 convention. Regarding the World Health Organization, WHO established its program for international drug monitoring in response to the thalidomide disaster detected in 1961. You must be knowing all this, how this happened. The pregnant ladies, they took thalidomide and they gave birth to the abnormal babies, Cocomelia babies. So after that, the WHO got our and they implemented this particular stream, international drug monitoring. And WHO promotes pharmacovigilance at the country level together with WHO collaborating center situated at Uppsala. And under this, that WHO pharmacovigilance program, almost by now, almost 134 countries are part of this. And India also is a part of this. And PVPI means Pharmacovigilance Program of India under CDSU, and Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission is working for the entire global pharmacovigilance. And I have started my pharmacovigilance career under this PVPI, Pharmacovigilance Program of India, and based at Kolkata. So the next I should say, what is the real basic aim of pharmacovigilance? It is to enhance the patient care and patient safety in relation to the use of medicines. Simple thing, whenever the patient is getting any disease, we are treating them. That is not the sole motto. So the safety is of prime importance than efficacy. In this situation, you can be knowing this under this COVID situation. So many drugs are there, they can be effective, but they are not given because one aspect is the efficacy, another aspect is safety. If that is used, then another factor will be there that will be more fatal than curing the COVID-19. This you might have across plasma therapy. Initially, it was implemented, but various vaccine specialists and biologists, they suggested no, giving plasma therapy may be more harmful than COVID-19. So in this aspect, you can think to enhance the patient care and patient safety is the aim of PB, and to support the public health programs by providing reliable, balanced information for the effective assessment of the risk-benefit profile of medicines. You must be knowing if you have come across ICS guidelines, any clinical trial can be permitted if the risk-benefit profile is more than one, means the benefit should outweigh the risks associated with the research. So how can we know that? Through this pharmacovigilance program. What are the side effects? What are the frequency? What is the seriousness? What is the severity? So all these things are under the scope of pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance aim, let us again continue. Pharmacovigilance is concerned with two outcomes. One is safety, the other is efficacy. It means, does a drug work and is it safe? So pharmacovigilance touches almost every aspects of the drug life cycle, from preclinical development to the post-marketing surveillance, making it one of the most fundamental functions within a life science company. So this pharmacovigilance starts from the preclinical development through its approval and after the marketing. So the basic thing under this is adverse drug reaction. So now I'll tell you what is the core difference between the adverse drug reaction and adverse drug event. So adverse drug reaction, we can segregate into two things. This is pre-approval clinical experience and marketed medical products. So when before its approval, means during the period of clinical trial, at any dose, any abnormal reactions, any unwanted effect can be treated as adverse drug reaction. But after it is given marketing rights, once it comes to the market for public use, any adverse drug event that occurs as the dose normally used for prophylaxis, diagnosis, treatment of the disease. So the basic difference is dose. In clinical trial, suppose we are starting the phase 1 trial, we'll just see the safety. We can start with 1/10 or 1/100th of the expected human dose. So even with that micro dosing, if any adverse drug reaction occurs, we can call them as adverse drug reactions. Suppose the drug has come to the market, say paracetamol. The recommended dose is say 500 milligram or 650 milligram. If I am given the drug, most of the analgesics, they are having hepatotoxic effect. Suppose paracetamol, I am taking 150 mg tablets twice daily for 7 days for my arthritis. So it is this 1500, that is not the recommended dose. The recommended dose is either 500 mg maximum 4 times daily, or 650, say 3 times daily. So if at that dose my liver problem is there, liver hardness is there, or liver enzymes are affected, in that case it can be caused treated as adverse drug reactions. But if my dose is more, pretty more, I am taking 1500, so that in that case, if anything happens, suppose I'm having any blood diseases, cardiac problem, anything, lungs problem, that cannot be treated as adverse drug reactions, because we are not following the recommended dose. You might have come across some medicines having package inserts. In that package inserts, there is clearly what dose should be given. That may be weight basis or age basis, or as per the decision of the physicians. If that is not followed, any side effects happens, that cannot be treated as adverse drug reaction. So the basic thing of adverse drug reaction is the causal relationship between a medicinal product and the adverse drug effect is at least a reasonable possibility. Means possibility is there. You are taking the drug, this adverse effect is due to that. Means the relationship cannot be ruled out. Means there might be some relationship. But the adverse drug event, next slide. So adverse drug events, it is a medical occurrence. It may be any adverse effect, that may be any signs or symptoms or any new disease that is temporarily associated with the use of a medicinal product. Means it may or may not be related to the medicinal product, and it does not necessarily have a causal relationship with the treatment, means the drug. Suppose I am taking paracetamol, I am having skin rashes. If I stop paracetamol also, there is skin rashes, means that is not related to paracetamol. So in that case, it can be treated as a adverse event. I have started paracetamol, adverse event is there, but that is not related to paracetamol. Next slide. Then the seriousness of adverse events. In what situation we can say the adverse event is serious, and in what case it is not treated as serious. Remember one thing, serious and severe, they are two completely different things. Severe and serious. So in what condition it is serious? It may result in death. So there are main 5 criteria as per the WHO and ICH. One, the adverse drug event either result in death, or is life-threatening, or requires hospitalization. So due to some thing you might come across in some patients, there will be tense toxic necrolysis, complete whole body, they look like it is a bone patient. So that requires hospitalization. Or results in the persistent or significant disability or incapacity. The persons will be disabled, incapable. In that case, that is serious. And if that may cause congenital anomaly, means birth defect, like thalidomide disaster. So if the adverse reactions falls into these categories, either results in death, life-threatening, requires hospitalization, or if the patient is hospitalized due to some adverse drug reaction, the hospitalization is prolonged, or that leads to any disability or incapacity or congenital abnormality. In that case, the adverse drug reaction is treated as serious adverse effect. Next. Then unexpected adverse drug reaction. So one ADR can be treated as unexpected if the nature or the severity is not consistent with the applicable product information. So what do you mean by applicable product information? I give just example one package insert. If in the package insert it is written, if you are taking say enalapril, you will having some dry cough. So that is expected. If any adverse drug reaction is happening, but that is not listed in the product insert, if you come across during the clinical trial, that product information is called investigator's brochure. And in case of approved drug products, marketed drug product, that can they are treated as package in short, summary of product characteristics, PIL, SPL. These are the terminologies used. And in the pharmacopoeias or in the pharmacology published books, they are listed. If they are listed, they are expected, means they are predicted from the pharmacological properties of that particular drug molecule. If that is not like that, then they are called unexpected. So the frequency of adverse drug reactions, it can be very common if it occurs 1/10 ratio, more than 1% in 10 patients taking the drug. It can be common greater than 1/100 but less than 1/10. It can be treated as uncommon if it is greater than 1/1000 but less than 1/100. It is rare if greater than 1/10,000 but less than 1/1000, and very rare if it is the occurrence is very less than 1/10,000. So these are the frequency. One is seriousness, another is severity, mild, moderate, and severe. So these are the basic types of classification of adverse drug reactions. Then the most important thing in pharmacovigilance is the causality assessment classification. One adverse drug reaction may fall into the below 6 categories. There may be certain, probable, possible, unlikely, conditional or unclassified, and unassessable or unclassifiable. So these 6 categories, you can see certain means the causality, the relationship with the drug is more. Probable, the relationship of causality is less. Possible, again less. Unlikely, again less. Unclassified, based on the data, this cannot be classified. And unclassifiable means the information is not available, which is sufficient to do some categorization. And these classifications are based on, so the above classification is done basis on time relationship to the drug intake. Suppose I am taking paracetamol today for fever. My fever subsided. After 1 month, if I am having some reaction, that may not be the real thing. So time relationship to the drug is very important. If you take the drug, there is reaction. If you stop the drug, the reaction subsides. Again, if you take the drug, that appears. Means there is causality. You can conclude this is due to the drug. Then a relationship to the disease or other drugs. Particular diseases is having some symptoms. Suppose migraine is a disease, headache will be there. Migraine, it is periodic, so sometimes it happens, sometimes it is not there. But if I am taking a drug, say I am having some cholesterol, I am taking atorvastatin, I am having headache, I am a migraine patient, so that is related to the disease. And other drugs, suppose I am taking any concomitant drug, that may be the definitive side effect of that drug. So that relationship also taken into consideration if any concomitant drug is taken. Next is the response to the withdrawal. Suppose I have given the time relationship under that. If I am stopping, withdrawing the drug, reducing the drug, completely stopping the drug use, in that case, the reaction subsides. So there is relationship with the drug. Then definitive pharmacology. So according to the pharmacological properties, if the side effect is predicted, then that is also coming the relationship. There is a real challenge satisfactory if necessary. What is re-challenge and de-challenge? If you are stopping the medication after the side effect appearance, if you stop that, that is called de-challenge, and the side effect disappears. To get confirmed, if you are administering the same drug to the same patient to see if the reactions again are reappearing, that is called a re-challenge. But you think re-challenge in most cases is not advisable of the causality assessment that can be applicable under WHO pharmacovigilance, and most of the countries, most of the regulatory bodies, which you can call the strict drug regulatory authorities like UK MHRA, Australia TGA, Health Canada, FDA, European, all European Union, they are following this. So these are the categorization I have segregated here, under what condition they are certain and under what condition they are probable, possible, unlikely. Afterwards, you can go through this, you can have a very clear vision on how the classification is made. Most of the case reports, means safety reports, concern suspected adverse drug reactions. We are suspecting, and adverse reactions are rarely specific for the drug. They are not specific, and diagnostic stakes are usually absent. Re-challenge is rarely ethically justified, what I told you earlier. And in practice, few adverse reactions are certain or unlikely. So very few you can conclude they are definitely due to the drug, and they are not associated with the drug at all. So in practice, you'll find such reactions, they are very few. And most are somehow in between these extremes, means possible or probable. Some criteria says it is possible, some criteria says it is probable, some say it is certain, some say it is possible. So due to that, we have to follow the causality assessment based on the 5 categories I have listed earlier. Next slide. So what is a safety signal? So once you come to the field of pharmacovigilance, you will see signal detection, signal analysis, then conclusion. So that is very important thing in pharmacovigilance. So signal is any information that arises from one or multiple sources, including observations and experiments. It is a new potential causal association. Previously, it was not known. Now we are getting something that is called a signal. Or it may be a new aspect of a known association. Previously, it was known, but now we are getting something new out of that. So all these things, they are called a signal to the drug with response to any adverse drug reaction. So management of safety signals, how you have to management. The 3 important steps are signal detection or identification. You have to identify or detect one signal, means relationship with the drug. Then signal investigation or assessment. We have to investigate whether that is actually due to the drug or that is not due to the drug. Then after the analysis, we have to respond accordingly. We have to publish that in public domain. We have to communicate to the regulatory authorities. We have to communicate to the concerned pharmaceutical manufacturing organizations, those who are doing marketing, so that it will come to the public and to the doctors, to the all the healthcare professionals. So the signal investigation is undertaken to determine whether the signal can be verified, means appropriate response determined, or the signal can be refuted, a false positive with no need to further action, or the signal remains indeterminate, means more data or further observation is needed. The first step is signal detection and identification. In this, we can detect or identify through review of spontaneous ADR reports, review of PSURs means periodic safety update reports, review of international vigilance activities like pharmacovigilance of different countries, review of published literature, review of post-approval studies. Through this, we can identify a drug reaction signal. Next. The next step is signal investigation and assessment. In this, the pharmacovigilance personnel or professionals, they assess the nature, magnitude, and health significance of safety signals. They assess the impact on the overall benefit risk profiles. Back, please. Next is the main areas of pharmacovigilance. The pharmacovigilance is a huge encompassing discipline, but we can broadly define that pharmacovigilance into four main subclassifications or segments. One is operations, and second is surveillance, then systems, and QPPB or qualified person for pharmacovigilance. In my next slides, I'll tell you what is operations, what is surveillance, what is systems. So under this operations, the professional engaged in pharmacovigilance, they'll collect and record the information related to the adverse drug events during preclinical development, during clinical trials, and in addition to the adverse drug reactions reported by the doctors, patients, post-marketing approval. And these professionals are responsible for creating the standard operating procedures, individual case safety reports, literature screening, and regulatory expedited reporting. So under this operations field of pharmacovigilance, these are the activities conducted. So many people are employed under this segment of pharmacovigilance. Next is surveillance, pharmacovigilance surveillance. Once the data is collected, once the individual case safety reports are collected, once the literatures are surveyed, literature survey is over, we put the data into a particular database. So under surveillance, the professionals look towards the risk management, signal detection jobs. They perform analysis of the data collected by wider divisions. They assist with the creation or review of aggregate reports. They also create DSURs, development safety update reports. During clinical trial also there is side effects. So in that DSURs are developed. They are reported to the various drug regulatory authorities. And PBRER, periodic benefit risk evaluation report, that is submitted to FDA, and PSUR, periodic safety update reports, they are submitted to all the European authorities. Post-marketing drugs, once the drug come to the market, we have to submit this periodic intervals. Suppose a drug is marketed from today, so the frequency of reporting is every 6 months for 2 years. Then after that, every 1 year, then it is closed. So the PSUR submission, it is a mandatory requirement for all the regulatory bodies. Next. Then is the systems. So all these things, they are not done through pen and paper because that will be missed. Everything is done through softwares, different database. Once you enter the database here, through that regulatory, if you select the push button or submit button, that will directly go to the regulatory authorities. Suppose you are doing through particular software for Australia TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration, if you submit, that will go to them. If you are doing through FDA database, that will be submitted to FDA. So this systems division is concerned with building and ongoing development of a fully robust and innovative system. They are charged with responsibility of housing and allowing access to vast quantities of safety data. The system division is constantly having to improve and stay in line with changing regulations and requirements for the business and health authorities, making this are very challenging and vital aspects of drug safety. There are different pharmacovigilance tools. One important tool is RSG. Okay, so through that software, we have to purchase that software. We have to purchase that software rights. Some individual companies, they are also developing their own systems. So that is the system. And last is qualified person for pharmacovigilance. So this qualified person for pharmacovigilance, they are the more experienced persons in this field. They are considered to be the subject matter experts, and their expertise is utilized across the discipline and wider business. This is a highly strategic appointment and one of the great importance. So every company, those who are doing marketing outside, means any European countries or US, Australia, those who are called the highly regulated markets, the qualified person for pharmacovigilance should be present in that country itself. So they are high paid persons.